Jamal Freeman, We Act Radio, joined by two of the towering figures on the Anacostia boat ride. Gentlemen, Mr. Dixon.
Yes, good to be with you.
And Mr. Shallal.
Good to be here.
All right, now, this is a redundant question, but what brings you out?
I'm out because the Anacostia Boat Ride is an annual event. I happen to be blessed to be the chair of the Anacostia Coordinating Council, a group of folks who come together once a month, and we do this boat ride with about 250 people to celebrate the community and the Anacostia River, which we're on now.
Okay. Now, Mr. Shallal, do you have a Busboys in Anacostia?
Just about. Almost. We're almost there. We're going to be making an announcement very soon.
I heard you play tough ball.
I do play tough ball.
All right, so what are some of the obstacles that you
it's the only kind of ball I know how to play.
All right. Right. Well, what are some of the obstacles that's preventing them from happening, or what's the timeline you think?
I think putting together the financing has been one of the biggest obstacles, obviously. You know, it's a multiple layer deal, like many deals are oftentimes. And I think because it's one of its first kind, really, in that area and that couple blocks. I think because of that, it's taken a little bit of time to make sure that we have all the elements in there to make sure that it succeeds.
Right.
That's my thing. Is I want to make sure when that door opens, it never closes.
Now, each one of your venues has a little distinct quality about each of them.
Yeah.
What do you think would be distinctive about Anacostia Busboys?
It will be very community centered. We are opening a school to train people, leadership, and culinary skills, because I want to hire people from the community. This is going to be a community space that the community is going to love, is going to respect, is going to feel good about. They're going to come back again and again. This has been something that I've been dreaming about for a very long time. This is something that's really going to hopefully kickstart a lot of other opportunities in that corridor. Again, I think I'm always fearful when I walk into a situation like that. It's going to start a gentrification process, but I want to remind people, gentrification doesn't happen by business, it happens by government. Government has to get involved and intercede to make sure that gentrification isn't going to push people out that have been living there for a long time. Government needs to get involved with that.
I want you to know that the Anacostia Coordinating Council, if we can in any way, we are fully supportive, obviously, of what Andy's trying to do to bring this to our community. And I also want to remind him, and he probably knows this already, that there's only a few blocks from Frederick Douglass's home.
Absolutely.
So maybe that could be part of your theme.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, we name all of our rooms after great towering figures, and Frederick Douglass is going to obviously be the name of the room that we're going to be using in the back. We're going to do
the sage of Anacostia.
And have serious conversations about race, about religion, about philosophy, about getting people together.
About mixed marriages, about everything.
About everything.
Douglass did.
Everything that we're afraid to talk about. We're afraid to touch.
Yep.
Well, I found it interesting that Uniontown was all white, and they didn't allow people of African descent or Irish to live in it. So maybe some of that could be reflective in your mural that goes up in the Frederick Douglass room.
That and the Native American presence in our community.
Exactly.
There's so much richness there. That's what keeps bubbling up in Anacostia east of the river. This special energy we got, which is really kind of remarkable. Right. We've been doing a lot, and we're going to do even. We're going to lead the way.
And although I like the idea of bringing development to Anacostia, for instance, I heard today that Homeland Security is expanding their presence there and all that. You know, that's development that you want to be dubious about, because I'm not sure if this is the kind of development people in Anacostia want. It's one thing to have a big fort basically there where people are going to parachute in and parachute out. It's another thing to have community spaces and community opportunities so that you can really develop the community and neighborhood from the ground up and create an organic feel to the community, as opposed to you know, taking over gorgeous lots of land that overlook the river. Exactly. You know, I think there's better use of those properties.
Well, let me say this. We've had this discussion. I serve on the National Capital Planning Commission board, and we've had these discussions. But I think that because of the strategic nature of that hill overlooking very sensitive areas, it's going to have to be something that has government control. But the one thing I've been pressing is come in as neighbors, not as some Iraq or Afghanistan or green zone, well, not just occupying, but isolated, and you have to fly into and fly out of. We want, and the first commander of the Coast Guard has been outreaching and reaching and reaching and been engaged in the community. It can happen, and they ought to look at Anacostia. If they go into Iraq or Afghanistan and try to persuade the locals to be supportive of us, we got got a community that needs to be made feeling that they're being supported by federal government. So this is an opportunity for a major entity to have that linkage to a community, which is their own community where they exist, and not just come and go.
What's one policy change? Either we can take this question. What's one policy change that you think would be a remedy to offset displacement? Is it a cap on property tax? What would you think would work?
I think there's no silver bullet. There's no special single answer. But one thing is education and making people understand that keeping their property and staying in the community is important and is a good way to go. Moving to other areas, trying to equal what they've got here and what the potential is for their neighborhood is not going to happen. They've got the gym now that is being developed. Stay with it. And of course, there's going to be some infusion of other communities into our neighborhood, but we need to keep the base community safe and there and present through government policy. Like the Hope Project, Berry Farms is going to be renovated, but there's a way to keep people there like they did on Garfield. Keep people and let them come back to where they were when they left.
Last words?
I would agree with everything Mr. Dixon said, but I also would add that I think it's important to understand that zoning policy is what creates gentrification. Zoning was developed to create separation between people, to create separation between certain segments of society. And we have to understand that in order for us to not have those divisions, not have those partitions between people, there's got to be zoning laws that take into account, just like Mr. Dixon said, that take into account the idea that people need to stay in their communities, and in order for them to stay in their communities, you have to have affordable living conditions, affordable housing, affordable businesses, and the only way you can do that is by creating zoning laws that allow for that. If we continue to use government property and sell it to the highest bidder, sometimes to the lowest bidder, turn the city into a pawn shop for developers, it's going to be a problem. We're going to see gentrification, and what's going to happen is once you see that kind of thing, people don't understand the causes of gentrification. They think a Busboys and Poets opening around the corner is the cause of gentrification. Sometimes I've heard that people say. And I say, wait a minute, what would you rather have there? Would you rather have a Clyde's? Would you rather have TGI Fridays? What is it that you'd rather have there? It's out of my control. There's a space, and it's for lease, and somebody wants to lease it. Somebody's going to make a bid for it. But in order for it to be affordable and in order to be accessible, there's got to be some zoning law that says we don't want a restaurant here. We want to have affordable housing here, and we don't want to have just a big meeting place, but we want a community center. We want it affordable. We want to have a library here. Those are the things that keep people in their community. If we just open it up to a market, the market is going to do what it always does. It pushes people out. It always does that.
Right. You heard it here, Arrington Dixon. Arrington Dixon, the Anacostia Coordinating Council
yes.
Chair, and also Shallal, owner of Busboys and Poets. We Act Radio. Do something.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. That was great. You know, me and your buddy.
I'm a musician, man.